Hi there, this is Sean, the Honest Book Reviewer, with another book review. In this video, we're talking about Death of a Perfect Wife. It's book 4 in the Hamish Macbeth series, of course written by MC Beaton. I'm enjoying these rereads so much. I didn't think I'd have so much fun with them. I had forgotten so much about this series because I've read some of the books, a few years ago. There are so many fun things about these characters, just little nuances and things they do in each novel that you just forget, and when you read them again, it's just like reading them for the first time. I had a few laugh out loud moments in this book, especially with one of the main characters, Trixie, who ends up being the victim in the book. And that's not a surprise because she's the perfect wife, she's the victim. Her character was so much fun and so exciting. I actually pictured some people that I know in real life when I read this character, and it made me think of them. And I'm not going to tell them that because, if I tell them that, they might get offended. But I can tell you that because you're watching me on YouTube. Let's get started with Book 4, Death of a Perfect Wife. In this book, I'm so happy to say that we stay in Hamish's village. I'm not going to say the name of the village just yet because I'm still practicing my pronunciation and I want to get it right. If I don't get it right, I'll probably get too nervous and I won't be able to continue on with the recording. So give me just a few more videos until I can say the name of that village without getting it wrong. So anyway, in the plot, there's new incomers to the village, man and wife. They want to open a bed and breakfast, and when people go and greet them for the first time, the first thing they learn is that they haven't got money, they need money for furniture because they want to open a bed and breakfast, and if they don't have furniture, how can they open their business? And Trixie, who's the wife, and she's the perfect wife, or she thinks of herself as a perfect wife, she goes around to all the houses asking for any bits of old furniture they have. But she has a little way of going around and looking at things and eyeing antiques. They're actually worth something. And sometimes the people who have them don't realise what they're worth. So she's a bit of a shark, actually. So that kind of is a subplot in this story, the goings on about Trixie getting furniture. The main plot is about her convincing the women in the village that they need to change their husbands' lives. They need to change what their husbands eat, how their husbands act. Are their husbands drinking and smoking too much? They need to change everything about their husbands. And also she starts causes and groups. She starts a cause to save birds. She starts a cause to save bats. There's a farmer who wants to knock down an old building on his farm, but there's bats in that building. So she starts a petition and starts a group to save those bats. So she's annoying people left, right and centre in the village, mostly the husbands in the village. But she's also annoying Hamish because Hamish is cottoning on to all their antiques. He's suspicious of her with the antiques, getting those antiques from the people who don't know their value. And he's quite a bit sick of Trixie getting husbands and wives offside because it's disrupting the cosy atmosphere in the village. Another good thing in this novel is we have a continuation with the Priscilla-Hamish storyline. Will they, won't they? In this novel, it's more won't they? Because Hamish seems to be going cold on her a bit, and Priscilla's starting to feel like she's missed the boat, that she thought that Hamish had a bit of a crush on her, but she didn't realise to what extent, and now she's realising, but she feels it might be too late. So now I guess the two characters, they're feeling like they're at either ends of the table on this, opposite poles, and we don't even know at this stage whether that will develop again into more than friendship, but this stage is cooling off. So that's how we leave it at the end of book 4 anyway, this book. As with all Hamish Macbeth novels, there's a murder, and this continues on with the pattern from the first 3 books. The annoying person in the novel is the one who gets murdered, so that just is an easy way to open up a lot of suspects. And then we have Blair and crew coming in to help with the investigation or hinder it, because Blair just spends all his time getting all the villagers offside, and Hamish has to investigate anyway to solve the crime. So we have that Hamish and Blair conflict going on as well throughout this novel, and it's starting to get a bit more extreme than the last 3 novels. It does open up quite a few fun moments in the novel between Hamish and Blair, but I'm aware of how much that goes on in future novels. But so far, if I was just picturing books 1 to 4, it's still a little bit fresh, a little bit new, so it's not as bad. We'll start with Trixie, who's the newcomer to the village, and with her husband Paul, but Trixie is the main draw because she's just full of energy, vibrant, and she's the one that gets so many people offside. I really enjoyed Trixie, I have to say, and for me, I wished that she would stay in the village, that she wasn't the murder victim. I would like to see her in future novels, to see how she'd go in the village after a few months, or after a few years. Would she change? Would she be the same? I would like to see that. I think MC Beaton may have missed a bit of an opportunity there, but I think she chose Trixie as the victim, or she plotted Trixie as the victim, because it's an easy choice. Because when Trixie dies, there's so many suspects. And I have to say that whenever Trixie was on the pages that I was reading, I pictured Trixie as a female version of Richard Simmons. I think it was just the perm and her energy. Give her a headband, give her some, exercise shorts and a tank top. I think she would have been a dead ringer for Richard Simmons. We get to learn a lot more about Dr Angela Brodie. Dr Brodie is so far behind the times. I don't know when he last upgraded his skills or did a refresher course, but he has some very, very peculiar notions about medical care. Angela Brodie, for a doctor's wife, she's very unhygienic. She doesn't keep a very clean house. I mean, the pets are always in the house. I guess that's okay, but the cat's on the table with food, resting its head on dishes, all that sort of thing. Whenever someone goes into the house, when we see Hamish go into the house a few times when it's messy, he just can't believe some of the mess. But then she changes because Trixie makes her change, and she's a cleaning machine, and she changes everything in the house, also what they cook, what they eat, trying to get her husband not to smoke or drink, all that sort of thing. She starts driving her husband crazy. I think their relationship in this book is really strong, and that's a good thing. You see the villagers are just very strong in their relationships with each other, but also their friendships outside their home. That's the good thing you get from this novel as well. The second couple I want to talk about, and we get to learn more about them as well in this novel, is Archie Maclean and his wife. They're very eccentric and very fun characters. I think they do appear later on in further novels, but in this novel we just learn about them. And what we learn is that his wife is not afraid to have a fight, and she boils his clothes a lot in boiling water, and boils all his clothes. And there's mention of him trying to wear clothes that are shrunk, and that's quite fun and eccentric. And his wife also hates modcons. She thinks modcons are evil, devil's playground. She thinks that housewives should be on their hands and knees scrubbing floors, doing everything manually. That's quite eccentric as well. And you just get a feeling from this novel that we're going to have a lot of eccentric characters in this village. The final character I'm going to mention is Angus Macdonald. He is very fun, very eccentric. You just want to laugh whenever he's on the pages. He thinks he's got the second sight. A lot of the people in the village believe it. Hamish even believes it in a way which I thought was odd, because Hamish thinks of himself as being so modern. Whenever Hamish goes to talk to him, Hamish suspects sometimes that he hasn't got the second sight. He just is a sponge for gossip. But Angus will never admit it. Angus will also play the card of having second sight because he wants to get famous in the news, in the media. And he even gets on the TV in this novel. Whenever Hamish goes to visit him, he has to take a gift, or else Angus won't play along. And that's quite fun. And we see Hamish play along all the time, but get annoyed at him as well sometimes. But those interactions between Hamish and Angus are really fun in this novel, and you do get a giggle out of them. This novel, the fourth novel in the Hamish Macbeth series, was very fun, very exciting read. I rate this 4 out of 5. The mystery was really good, but for me, the characters just are a level above the mystery in this novel, and that's because we get to learn so much more about some of the characters in the village. I was waiting for that. I was wondering when it was going to happen, and I'm so glad it's happened now, and I hope it continues to happen in the next few novels as well, because there are many characters in the village that we have yet to meet in detail. If you want to see more Hamish Macbeth book reviews, check out my channel, and why not subscribe so you don't miss out. If you like cozy mysteries, including Hamish, Agatha Raisin, and others, why not check out the Cozy Mystery playlist on my channel? You should see it on the screen now.